Hey all, Dros is a puzzle game set in a colorful fantasy world, but the question is whether Dros offers enough content to be worth $25. In this video we check out how the game is experienced on the Nintendo Switch and whether it is worth buying. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and give a thumbs up. You play a character who calls himself the Captain. His goal is to find a special flute. To help him, he has a slimy type who has goals of his own. Together, they must try to get through a giant tower and try to deal with the game's antagonist, the evil alchemist. So I have to say that the narrative is basically quite simple, but along the way, our heroes meet lots of eccentric types who all play a role in the story and who add an extra spice to the narrative. I would also like to add that the game is bursting with lore, which can be read in the game's manual. Sometimes you find items that unlock new information about all the characters in the game, or about different things in the world. Pretty cool actually, so the creators of this game have definitely put a lot of effort into creating a world with a rich and fleshed out narrative. The aim of the game is to get through 40 stages. And it's always about finding the exit. But you can also do side quests on most stages. It can be about finding hidden objects or collecting the red stones called blood rocks. I found that finding the exits is almost the easiest. But if you want to do everything 100%, i.e. find all the objects and stones, then this becomes much more complicated. The objects can be well hidden and sometimes you run around for ages before you find what you're looking for. But as I said, the degree of difficulty is relatively low if you only want to run through the game without doing everything. However, it is worth noting that the stages' designs become larger as time goes on, without necessarily becoming overly cryptic. Although this is a puzzle game, it rarely gets too complicated. So I think this is a puzzle game that can appeal to a wider audience. If we look a little closer at how the game works, you constantly switch between your two heroes. This is because they both have their strengths and weaknesses. The Captain cannot jump, but can use a sword. Dros, as the slimy lump is called, can jump but not fight, so you have to switch between the two characters to open up new paths forward. They complement each other in a smart way. Out in the world you encounter a variety of dangers and obstacles. It can be about moving blocks, jumping on bubbles, getting through narrow pipes or avoiding lava. Each world, 4 in number, has its own design, so you can expect varied gameplay, where new challenges are presented as you go. I rarely found it boring, and maybe that's what keeps the game going. The fact that each stage has its own design, where you often have to think of a new way in order to progress. Clearly fun in my opinion. However, I think that the enemies become a bit monotonous in the long run. They are not very varied, and the same opponents keep coming back. Some enemies attack by shooting arrows, others bounce at you so you have to parry or run backwards. I think the enemy patterns are basically very easy to learn. There was only one enemy that I thought was a bit complicated, but after a few tries I got a hang of it and then it was pretty easy to beat. There are also no bosses in the game, and maybe this would have been a fun addition to the game. Now it's mostly about solving the puzzles, eliminating some enemies and finding the exit. Visually, I think this is a very nice looking game. There are 4 worlds to explore and each has its own details and graphic styles that enhance the gaming experience. For example, you run around a prison, you talk to people in different villages, you explore an industrial world filled with lava, and you swim around a world filled with water. Definitely varied and stylish in my opinion. What I would like to add though is that I experienced a couple of crashes. In addition, the game has locked up a couple of times. I'm stuck here and don't know how to get out. And here my lump of mucus doesn't want to move, so I've had to reset the game a couple of times. Also, I have noticed that the game lags in some places. On the Nintendo Switch, this becomes especially noticeable in the industrial world. It's not a huge problem, but it is noticeable. When it comes to the control, it generally feels very smooth. It works well to use both characters, whether jumping, running or in combat. However, I found that it was significantly more difficult to use the Joy-Cons to control. I happened to fall off various platforms on several occasions, so I got the best feel when using the Pro Controller. But overall, I still find that when using the Pro Controller, that both heroes are easy to control. So, is this a game you should buy? I want to answer yes to that question. Especially if you appreciate puzzle games that can be both challenging or very easy, depending on how you want to play. It took me about 13 hours to get through all 40 levels, but I guarantee it can take much longer than that if you want to do everything to the fullest. In addition, the game has a certain replayability as some new challenges are added once you finish the game. However, it is not a perfect game, as I would have liked a greater variety of enemies and a little less problems with the performance. Maybe I experienced a few too many crashes. But overall, this is an interesting and varied puzzle game that I think many players could enjoy. But is it worth $25? That's quite a lot of money, but I'd still say you get a lot of game for your money. However, I would like to add that I have seen the game on sale at a really good discount, $10. So if you're unsure, you can always wait for a possible sale. With that said, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give the video a thumbs up. Have a great day, see ya!